What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to The Highway with Kyle Shutt. Winter is coming. I'm totally ready for it. We getting heavy as hell this week. We got Mr. Phil Pendergast from Khemmis, one of the baddest bands in the land. They got a new record coming out soon. We're going to play a song off of it at the end of the program, but until then, we're going to talk about weed, smoking weed, doing beers. Is that all I ever talk about on here? I feel like that's all I ever talk about on here. If you like what you've been hearing on this little three-ring circus of mine, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that follow tab. You do whatever you got to do to make sure you don't miss a single episode. And if you want to go one step further and help us out, keep this show going, you can find us at patreon.com/thehighway. For a couple of bucks a month, you can help me keep these lights on, keep these interviews coming in. And for a little bit more a month, you can get some merch, you can get a private guitar lesson from me, all kinds of fun stuff. There's no way I could do this program by myself, so I want to take a special time to shout out some people that I'm extra thankful for. Austin Buchanan, couldn't do this show without you, brother. I love you so much. And these interviews, too. So many people helped me get these interviews. John Freeman, Zena Zarfin, love you, girl. I called in every single favor I could when I started this show, and it's been so much fun seeing everybody come together behind the scenes to make all this happen. So I just wanted to say thank you all so much. We also got to give a wicked shout out to our lovely sponsors, Heil Sound, because if you like the way I sound, it's because there's a Heil in front of me. All right, I'm done being sappy. It's time to get crappy. Let's do things my way.
The Highway.
Hey, Phil, what's going on? It's Kyle.
Hey, what's up, Kyle?
Oh, not a whole lot. I'm still a little bit hungover from Halloween, but
Sick. You got after it, huh?
I'm getting there. Yeah, I went and saw the Hives down at Mohawk, and we partied hardy.
Sick.
It was a good time. But thanks so much for coming on the program, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck yeah, Khemmis. Are you still up in Denver?
I live up in Longmont. It's not super far, like 40 minutes away.
Is that like
just cheaper,
like Louisville kind of area or something like that?
Yeah, just north of there, basically. There's a whole bunch of L towns up here.
Oh, cool. I think Denver. The same thing happened there. It happened to Austin. It's just I can't even afford to park there anymore.
Yeah, fuck. At least we haven't gotten that bad yet, but yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love Denver so much. It's one of my favorite cities. But it's mostly. I wouldn't say mostly, but just, Colorado's like, it's always been the weed state, and we're a fucking weed band. And so it was always, we're always trying to score some pot when we're on the road. But every time we're in Denver, the elevation would really hit us like a ton of bricks. I mean, I would drink like 2 IPAs and smoke a joint and be like, I need to go, y'all.
Yeah. Dude, I rarely have that experience because, like, we have the advantage here.
Oh, totally.
Right? But,
absolutely.
Like, we went down to Mexico City, a couple of years ago to play this fest, and like
I know exactly where
that's
you're going.
like 8,000 feet or something.
Yeah, it's like half a mile higher than Denver even. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got like fucked by that. Like I remember walking out on stage and like I had just been doing like some vocal warm-ups backstage, and I realized I was like really lightheaded, and I walked out on stage, and it's on this huge fucking stage that Alice Cooper is going to play later on. And like, it's like all of a sudden I'm just like seeing black and like about to pass out. And I'm like, oh fuck, this is not going to go well.
You're like, no, because usually
wasn't
like
my best.
But usually like whenever y'all go anywhere else, you're like invincible party warriors, right? I mean, because
that's what it feels like. Not so in this case.
I've had friends from Denver come to Austin, and they're just going all night and be like, how are you still walking around right now? You just did like 8 shots of tequila. But, but how's the band doing? How was it? I mean, it's been a real pandemic. I hate to harp on that, but we're still kind of in the tail end of that. But I know you recently lost a member. Just because he quit, not because he's not with us anymore. But how did y'all hold up through that? I love the Alice in Chains cover you did through that, and all the singles you were kind of like dropping throughout that. But what was that like up in Denver?
Well, thanks. I mean, it has been a hard time. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There's, I don't know. Like, is this part of the interview yet, or are we just?
We're going, buddy. I hit record and then I dialed your number.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is that it's just been, I think it's been hard for, like, all musicians, right? But to some degree, I almost enjoy just having the excuse to just kind of be at home and doing my thing, you know, like have a little break from the usual sort of thing that we all end up having to get into. And, but at the same time, it just like, it became really hard for my mental health, you know, like, cause I struggle with depression anyways. And like, it was just like so hard to see everything that's happening in the world. And then like all of these like social justice issues in the US that I care about, but that I like, it doesn't feel like it's my space to really try and be a voice for that or anything.
Totally.
You know, and just feeling like so, not to be a downer, but like, it's just so hard to like feel like your own, emotions matter when you're surrounded by all this other shit that's happening. So it's like kind of probably the worst period for my mental health in my whole life, honestly. And I know kind of the same for Ben, our other guitar player. Just like was a really hard time. And, you know, I think both of us had to come to terms with like how important is the band really? Like how much do we have left to give to it? You know, like what does it mean if like we're in a band and we can't like hang out and be friends right now? Does it still something that matters? You know, just having to like reckon with all this shit. And so we ended up just being in a pretty dark headspace, and that's kind of where the album came from. So it's a pretty honest reflection of the time. But yeah, so it hasn't been great, but you know, more recently it's been better. I didn't actually see you at Psycho, but we were there too, doing our show there and stuff. And
yeah, I missed y'all. It was hard to make it around this year because it was in the Mandalay, so you had to walk like 8 miles to like get anywhere.
I know. It's crazy. I got over to the pool right after you guys finished. But yeah, so I missed you guys' set too. But like, it's just like that was such a nice thing to have happen, you know, totally. After so long. Like, it just felt like such a strange fucking thing. Be constantly surrounded by people all of a sudden, and like just everybody's like trying to have a good time, but you know, also all the bands are like not really 100% on their shit yet, you know, like everybody's kind of like getting back into it.
Oh man, it was our first show back in 3 years, like, and it was like a 20-minute throw and go. Honestly, like, I mean, I had a great time, but it was the first show that we had played together in 3 years, and it was rough. I mean, I saw the video. It wasn't that great, but everyone had a great time, and the tour we did right after that, we just like were like watertight, you know, by the end of it, and it's like we're back, baby. But yeah, there was
sick.
There was a bunch of sick shows. What was that?
What tour were you guys just on?
We just hit the road with Primus doing that.
Sick.
The Rush tribute set. So that was a fucking great time.
Oh man,
it was like
I bet
full of life again. You know, after the whole thing, but yeah. Do you guys have any tour plans coming up? Anything like that?
Yeah, we're doing like a short sort of West Coast thing in January. We're still trying to like finalize sort of what our plans are for the rest of the year. I don't know. Like, you guys are probably experiencing this too. Like, it feels like there's a little bit of uncertainty with international stuff, especially right now.
I'm not going to say what it is, but we're looking at like summer 2023. You know what I mean? That's like the earliest that we can even think about maybe even attempting something like that.
Yeah. It's like kind of a tough point right now. And also, like, as a band, we're sort of feeling like the momentum is in our favor for if like we kind of wait maybe a month or two before we start like committing to stuff, like that maybe we'll be getting potentially some better offers to do things with like new album on Nuclear Blast than we would have if we did it like pulled the gun now. So we're kind of trying to see like what opportunities might come up. So try and like have enough stuff that we're putting on the books so that it feels like we're going to do something for sure, but then try and leave the door open for opportunities to come up, you know,
for sure,
as they do. So yeah, kind of a weird spot to be in, but like we're doing a couple shows in New York at St. Vitus in December. So those are coming up, and I'm really excited to do that again.
Hell yeah.
That's always a fun place to go.
Williamsburg and Greenpoint are different now. It's I call it the city that sleeps.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
It's I mean, if you're used to partying there, it was eye opening the last time we were there. But yeah, I still think you're gonna have a great time. We just did the music hall recently, and
Okay.
it was a fantastic show. So yeah, New York, it's like there's no traffic.
Yep.
It's hardly
Weird.
as many people ever. I mean, like at 2 a.m. in Williamsburg was like a ghost town. I'd never seen anything like it. I was like, oh my god, this is weird.
Whoa.
But
That's crazy.
yeah, tour. It's happening. I'm really excited for next year. We're just gonna start booking dates and see what happens. I can't say shit about what's announced yet, but we are gonna be in Denver soonish. So we'll have to come out and puff tough. Do you still smoke? Do you still smoke?
Yeah, I do occasionally. Not a ton anymore, but like I'm not against it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, we actually I want to say this was like New Year's Eve. I think it was 2013. Colorado was the first state to legalize it. And
Yeah, right.
The Bluebird flew us in for 2 nights. Like the 30th and the 31st. And so like they were like, we want the Sword to be the band to like ring in legal weed on
That's fucking
midnight
awesome.
January 1st. And we told them, we were like, can you get us like 4 bongs? Like for the encore, so that like, because we timed the set to where we left the stage at like 11:55 or whatever, and went backstage and got like 4 bongs and like packed them up fat, and then like right at midnight we like came out and did the countdown, and like the second the ball dropped or whatever, we just like sparked up the fucking bongs, and like people screamed so loud for that. I was just like, that was the loudest cheer we ever got, like way louder than ever playing music. We should just drive around and smoke weed in front of people, man. That's like all they want to
Dude.
see.
Snoop Dogg's been doing that for years, man. You can hop on that train. There's a precedent for it.
But man, what made you want to pick up a guitar back in the day, and what led you down the doom metal path? I want to talk about doom in a little bit, but yeah, but what was there like a particular moment or like thing in your life that made you think about picking up the guitar and just saying goodbye to everything?
I mean, I never said goodbye to everything. I
Smart.
never have been like that dude that gets like so deep into playing the guitar that's like all they do for 6 hours a day or whatever. Like I've always been like the guy that's like mildly capable on the guitar and like holds it together, but not like trying to excel super hard on it.
It's not a contest. It's like as long as you can make the thing create the noise that you hear in your head and you're happy with it, that's really all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always been like my only motivating factor for getting better has always just been like, shit, there's like this part that I can hear that I want to be able to play, but like I can't downpick fast enough. So like I better work on that. It's never been like, I have to learn how to play, this Yngwie song or like whatever. Like
fuck that.
I don't have any interest in that. And, but yeah, like originally it was just, I grew up listening to classic rock and Southern rock, like in my dad's collection. And so I've always been real partial to, a lot of that stuff, like ZZ Top and Little Feat and Allman Brothers and, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And but then like Jimi Hendrix and, like the Clash and like early punk music and stuff too. I was kind of like exposed to all that at the same time. And I had a friend that bought a guitar and started learning how to play it, and I'd go over to his house and like try and play Smoke on the Water or whatever, and like just it wasn't something that I got really into, I would say, until I was in college. And then I decided that it was way more fun for me to play guitar if I tried to write something than it was for me to like try and play along to something that somebody else was playing. So I, just started getting together with people that I knew that would have a drum set or even just another guitar player and try and play with them and be like, I came up with this riff. And just turned out that like everything that I would try and write always was just like riff based and not super intricate. And I heard, like maybe like Electric Wizard around that same time, and like probably you guys, and was just like, oh, okay, like this kind of thing is the kind of thing that I know that I can do, and I don't really have to change who I am or my approach to the guitar. This is just like what's going to come out if I try and write something. And yeah, so that's kind of just been my approach the whole time, is like live with your limitations a little bit and use that as like the creative ground for what you're doing. You know?
I always liked that y'all sang, rather than just scream your head off. I mean, I love extreme music and everything like that, but I always had a real large admiration for bands that had the courage to sing, and that will take your band so much farther.
Yeah, well, the thing when we started the band was like Ben, our other guitar player, was saying, he's like, I've been playing in these bands that nobody's given a shit about for forever, and like it'd be real cool if we could figure out how to do some clean vocals so that maybe there's like some life to this thing, and so I was just like, okay, I'll give it a shot. With no real expectations for myself. I never sang before that. But I knew that I could at least like be loud, sing cleanly, and that maybe it would be, I felt like I had at least like a unique sound, even if it wasn't a good sound. And so just have tried to like become the best version of myself in that. And it's taken a lot of time and effort. Singing's so much harder than I think like the normal person that sings along to something in their car or whatever would think, like
it's as I got more into it, I didn't sing for forever. I mean, I don't even think I started doing backup vocals until our 4th album. And there's a lot more like things like implied melody and things like that. Like you don't have to sing it perfectly, but if you do, sometimes it sounds worse and like things. I don't know. It's just it's a lot different than I thought it would be than just yeah, like you said, singing in the shower. But
it's like an infinitely tunable instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's purely expressive too. So it's like you were saying, like the shape of the vowels that you choose for like words like make a difference in
and
how
you don't even think about it.
Sound.
Yeah, totally. And so like you hear it back and you're like, God, is that how I say found? That's weird.
Yeah.
But getting into all that, like you're saying, like the vocal stylings and choosing all that and stuff. I wanted to talk about doom, because whenever I first heard the word doom, in relation to music, it was the band Doom, who are not Doom at all.
Yeah, right.
And
pretty misleading.
Yeah, right. And then bands like Doom Riders came out and things like that. And then I started to hear people talk about doom metal, but for me personally, like doom is a very specific subgenre of an already very underground type of music, and it was bands like Crippled Lucifer. I'm sorry, Burning Witch. That album, Crippled Lucifer, was a big one for me. Or bands like Cathedral and things like that. That just sang about like evil, death and destruction, but like on a worldwide level, not just like death metal and stuff like that. But it didn't have to be punishingly slow all the time. But that was just kind of that was mostly the vibe. But these days, it's like anything is called doom. It's crazy. Like you could, if Aerosmith put out a new record, there'd be like, the new doom record or whatever. Like they have the doom charts now. Like anything is doom. I wanted to ask, like what y'all thought about that, because, like getting pigeonholed in a genre can sometimes kind of just kill your momentum. Did y'all ever embrace that, or is that kind of where you started from? Like, how do you feel about doom?
It's a really good question, because it's something that I think we've wrestled with sort of throughout the history of the band, is like not feeling connected to that label really at all beyond, I think doom is like a signifier of a certain type of like emotional heavy music, right? Where like there is clearly like some sorrow and like regret and loss that's being expressed, even if it's not like in the lyrics, but in like the melodies and the sort of feel of, some classic Candlemass and Cathedral records. And that's really kind of more of a vibe than like a sound, maybe. And that's about as far as I embrace like the label of doom for what we do, is like, we're like living in that same kind of like emotional space. Yeah, for the most part, like things are pretty mid-tempo, but it kind of stops there. Like we don't really do any like Tony Iommi single note based riffing. Like a lot of our riffs are like chord based, and stylistically, like we've always had a lot more, I think that we consciously accept as an influence coming from classic rock and from traditional metal. Like, I'm pretty sure that this has got to be true of you guys too, that like I think of the band being more similar to like Thin Lizzy than I do it being similar to like Candlemass.
Absolutely.
Like
I was going to say like a Blue Oyster Cult kind of thing, but just like all minor all the time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. But with like a really strong emphasis on like guitar melody and these twin guitar things that are like playing off of each other. It's always been a really big part of the sound that we're going after. And so it could be a little bit frustrating because people have like this expectation that when you hear something that's doom metal, or at least they used to have this expectation, that's got to be like really slow. It's got to sound like Black Sabbath, or else it's like not authentic and it kind of sucks. And we were never trying to do that. So it was like a little bit frustrating. And I think we were trying to kind of actively push against that label for quite a while and be like, it's just heavy metal. You know, like we're doing stuff from black metal and death metal and traditional metal too, probably equally as much as doom metal. So, but now on this new record, I feel like we're kind of embracing the like that aesthetic of doom that I was talking about, like the feeling of it, even if musically, like the record is still pretty dynamic. Like it's based in this like headspace and vibe that's very dark and that is very doomy. And like we're willing to accept that this is like a doom record, but we don't have to be a doom band necessarily.
That's interesting, man. Because like we always used to get the stoner thing, and to me, like stoner rock, like implies that you're singing about weed, and like we've never done that, not once. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, I mean, I get it. Like we had this like kind of slow headbanging swagger thing, and we did smoke all the weed in the fucking world, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't like the point of our music, you know. So we were like battling this like stoner label forever, and to the point where we just sort of like, whenever High Country came out, I was like, man, wouldn't it be funny if we like leaned into it as like a weed pun, you know? And like like our merch package was like a stash box with like fucking papers and a dugout and shit in it, and everyone's like, a lot of comments were like, I thought y'all said you weren't a stoner band. And be like, hey, everybody just shut up. Smoke some weed, buy the record, listen to it or don't, man. Fucking whatever, dude. We're all just having fun. But there's bands like, you know, like Bongzilla, or you know, Electric Wizard has like Dope Throne, you know, the little wizards hitting a bong on the cover and shit like that, or Sleep or whatever. And like that to me is like, you know, pure right down the middle stoner rock. But that term kind of like fell off. I don't know. I haven't really heard people talk about much. I think like doom kind of took over. There's no stoner charts, you know. I think maybe everybody's too stoned to make charts.
So and really, like, isn't all heavy music just stoner music like nowadays?
Yeah, JD,
you know?
our singer, used to say like, yeah, you don't call Willie Nelson stoner country, you know, or like Snoop Dogg, it's not stoner rap, you know. But maybe
although it probably should be
stoner rap. Isn't that Afro Man? Isn't he stoner rap? I don't know.
Oh, true. Yeah, man, Snoop Dogg would be so bummed though that he's left out on that one. Like, I'm a big Snoop fan.
100%.
Yeah. I was just listening to like I was driving back from practice on Halloween, and I was like thinking about how there was like this really funny time in West Coast hip hop where like everybody sounded like Snoop Dogg, but then like some people like went like a really horrific lyrical direction with it. So I was like listening to Brother Lynch Hung on the way back from practice the other day, and he's just like singing about killing babies and shit, but like every song is also about weed. And it's like, how come we can't take more inspiration from that? in you know, I don't know, some dark shit right there.
Hey man, it's all I think about whenever I get stoned is killing babies, you know? Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew? Who fucking knew? What I love that you listen to all genres of music. I have kind of one rule, is that I don't listen to shit that sucks. But there's something to like about just any kind of genre of music. Do you find that you like never listen to metal ever? You know what I mean? When it's like you're in a band like that's so fucking heavy, like the last thing you want to hear is like put on a fucking, I don't know, like I said, like Burning Witch or something like that. Yeah, I listened to that shit like 20 years ago, but I just really don't have like a need to listen to it all the time anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more stylistically similar it is to what we do, kind of the more like I don't really want to hear it. for like maybe a couple reasons. Like I kind of hear this sort of thing enough, from having to practice and play it, and then just because I don't necessarily want to be influenced by like whatever is
Totally
out there already. So it's a little bit like deliberate, even though I do like some of that stuff, but if it's like more extreme, like early Kanate or something, kind of in the same vein as Burning Wish, I guess, but like more abrasive, then that's okay. I don't know. Like I kind of draw like arbitrary boundaries around that shit.
I usually find myself listening to like really extreme music if I'm going to listen to something heavy. I love Nile. I love Carcass. They're like one of my favorites. I actually just talked to Bill Steer, and I had to say like that the reason I like Carcass so much is because they come around every 8 years and remind everyone that their band sucks.
Yeah,
because they're the fucking
death
best.
metal locusts.
Oh yeah,
they're
dude,
just hiding beneath the ground,
Oh
waiting.
my god, did you ever see Locust back in the day?
No, I never did.
It was wild, man. They were they weren't big at all.
Yeah,
they just had really cool merch. And like their all their vinyl just like looked immaculate, and then fucking they would just dress up and like fucking locusts, and it was like the craziest thing. You'd go downtown to Emo's, and there'd be like 50 people there, and these dudes playing this insane fucking grindcore that was just better than everybody else, and it was weird. But then it's funny, like when they went away, like the legend of them has sort of become larger than life, and I wonder what they would do. Are they back together? I know Justin's still like kicking around. I wonder if they got back together, if they did a tour, if it would be like huge.
Probably. I think that they did do like a couple reunion shows or something, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I seem to remember that like this old band that we were sharing our space with at the time, like they were kind of like a hardcore band, that they were maybe opening a show for a reunion show for Locust or something. I don't
Who knows?
really remember.
Did you ever listen to that band Daughters?
Yeah.
That was another one of those bands where we used to go see them just in like punk houses. Like they weren't big at all. Like even when they broke up and put out Canada songs and they just kind of fizzled out, like they weren't huge by any means. And then when they came back, it was just this massive thing. And then their new records just sound completely different than what they used to. Just one of those bands I'm super proud of. Oh my god,
that new record's really good though. Yeah. Like they came back and they, I think, hit upon something that people didn't know they needed, and so there they go.
It's nuts. Their drummer now is in the reunited Unsane, and
no shit.
They're kicking around Austin right now, and just playing fucking crazy shows. They're doing like all the old shit and like playing parking lot shows and stuff like that in Austin. It's really cool to see like a lot of these kind of older bands that were underground like come back, and there's like just this whole maybe 2, even 3 generations now of like new fans that never got to see them that are all just fucking so stoked.
Yeah. Oh, that's rad.
Yeah. And Denver's kind of like a lot like Austin like that too. It's like a real, I don't know if Denver's a music town necessarily, but there's just like so much amazing music that's come out of there. And the people kind of get spoiled because you get all the good shows. Do you find that people just kind of sit there sometimes and don't really like get as hype as you wish they would, just because they get to see every fucking band?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if you'd asked me this and I'd lived in town like 12 years ago, I might have a really different answer, because I think like at the time, right when I moved here, which is in 2010, I'm from the Seattle area originally, so it's like kind of the same story, I guess. But like in Denver at the time, at least, bands would only play in town because it was like a stop on the way between these other major markets, you had to go through the middle of the country someplace, and like Denver is going to be a better show than everywhere else. But it's like I think it's only really come into its own as like a good place culturally for music, and for the music that's coming out of there in the last 8 years or so. And now we have just like a whole bunch of like super sick heavy bands that are based out of here. I don't keep up with like the other styles of local music enough to know what's going on, but I'm sure that it's probably pretty ripe for a lot of other stuff too. I mean, I think the main thing that's kind of making Denver unique in that respect is that we don't have a strong cultural attachment to like one type of music here, because there isn't a legacy. Like, so I think that it gives bands kind of the freedom to do like whatever it is that they want, and that there will still be an audience for that, because it is a music going town. Like, people want to go see shows. And maybe before the pandemic, I think maybe we all kind of were taking that for granted. But now that it's kind of back, like, I think people are going to be just as excited as they ever were for it, you know?
Totally.
It's like,
have you seen a show yet?
Reigniting the spark. Yeah, I've seen a couple of things. I mean, other than Psycho, I haven't seen like any like big shows. I've been to like friends' bands shows and shit like around town. But
so was Psycho Vegas like your first concert experience back, like post-pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh,
for
man.
me personally, for sure. Yeah.
Was it just like fucking super spiritual?
It was. I mean, it was. I think more than anything, it was just so nice to like see friends again, like band friends. You know, that like you run into everywhere across the country, like every 6 months or every year or whatever. But that you hadn't seen for a while, and you know, just see people that you didn't know were going to be there, you know, like just walking past them in a casino and being like, oh, what's up? You know, getting to reconnect like that is so cool. And then getting to see, you know, just such a variety of bands there. Like, that festival is pretty perfectly curated towards my tastes, I would say. Like, beyond like them getting, you know, Priest or somebody to like headline, you know, like they've got High on Fire and like
did you see Danzig?
Cannibal Corpse, and I didn't see Danzig. I was like stuck over at the pool stage doing Cannibal Corpse and Dying Fetus.
I caught like
when he played.
I watched Cannibal Corpse like from the windows, like in line to get in to see Danzig, because you could like like overlook like the pool area. I was like, yeah. That looks cool. I've seen them before, and I've seen Danzig a bunch, but I'd never seen him play most of those songs off of Lucifuge. And I gotta say, that was a fucking amazing show.
That's like my favorite album of his too. So like I don't know what was wrong with me. I should have gone over there. I don't know. The last time I saw him in Denver, it was so bad that I think I was like afraid that it was going to ruin it for me.
Yeah.
But everybody that I talked to said he was fucking on it. So like,
Danzig, he's a funny little guy. I mean, like, I've seen him, like, some of the worst shows that I've ever seen him play were because I gotta say the crowd was maybe a little lackluster, or like his band maybe wasn't the tightest at the time, or he was just playing all new music that nobody gave a fucking shit about. And I'm sorry, and he's a real moody dude. I guess, you know, he gets real sensitive about things like that. But you go to Europe and like see him play, and there's like, you know, 50,000 people just going ape shit, and then he's just puts on an amazing show. So, you know, it's I don't know, he gets a bad rap. I mean, rightfully so. He's kind of an asshole. I'm sure, like, anybody has the capacity to be an asshole. But that crowd that night, him playing all the Lucifuge songs, like, if you just blurred your eyes a little bit, you could put yourself right back there in like 1992 or whatever when that came out, and just be like that's really what it was probably like. And God, it was just fucking amazing. His guitar player, Tommy Victor from Prong, he's just one of the fucking sickest guitar players. And being in a band with only one guitar player, like, that's a lot of weight on you. You know, when you can just hold it down like that, it's fucking awesome. That's like terrifying. Do you I used to have this fear, one of my irrational fears. It's a rational fear. I don't know. It was going out on stage and like just playing a clean guitar, no effects, nothing like that. You know what I mean? And that shit it used to be really terrifying to me. It still gets me a little bit. We have a song called "The Sundering" that we'll play. That we'll walk out and do that. And my job is to start the intro, the quiet, clean intro. And it's all. No matter how many times I do it, I'm always still a little bit like, oh, okay. Here it goes. Don't fuck it up. You know, and
I know the feeling.
Do you have any? You do a lot of clean parts and shit like that. Do you have that same kind of nervousness?
100%. Yeah, like we have a song. It's probably like it's like a fan favorite. You know, it's like the last track on our first album, and it starts off with clean guitar for like, you know, like a minute and a half or something, and it's like just me playing, and then the drums come in, and it's always like, don't fuck up these arpeggios. Your stupid fingers aren't doing exactly what you want. You're gonna miss that note, and then you do, and you're like, fuck, and you just have to keep like going, pretend nothing happened. Yeah, that's always fun. I recently bought an acoustic, like a nice acoustic guitar for the first time, like thinking like, I really wanted to get into like doing some kind of dark folk music, like or like more country inspired thing. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I could sit up on a stage with just an acoustic guitar and my voice and like
It's tough.
feel confident, you know?
I did it a couple times recently as part of like a stand-up sort of gig that I take every so often. My friend JT Habersat, who's I've had on the show before, he runs a comedy festival called Altercation, and he was like, he got me on there just telling road stories and just fun stuff like that. But then that kind of morphed into a thing where it's like, well, you know, you got some songs too. Like, what if you just played it like that? And I thought about, I don't want to bring a whole amp and a fucking electric. There's nothing worse than a dude up there with a guitar just singing songs with no backing band, and it can be done really well, like dudes like Scott H. Byram or William Elliott Whitmore or something like that. Yeah.
Woven Hand from Denver too.
100%. Or Amigo of the Devil does it really well, but that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
but I was like, well, it's not me yet, maybe, so I'll do it. But yeah, dude, it's fucking terrifying. No matter how many times I've done it, it's still just like, okay, here it goes. But I don't know, man. The second you hit that first chord, you just kind of turn your brain off and get lost in it. It's not that difficult. But I would love to hear you do some like dark folk, man. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I'd be super into it. Like during this last album session in the studio, we did record like, we've done this before. Like we did a version of "Conversation with Death," which is like an old Ralph Stanley song. But we, you know, like the whole thing is like very loud and like doomy, other than like a what's it called, one that's like unaccompanied vocal intro, a cappella vocal intro. But like the one that we did in the studio this time, that I have no idea what we're doing with, is like just you know, it's like acoustic guitars and my voice for like 3/4 of it, and then at the end it like gets heavy for a second. And I was feeling really inspired by that. I was like, man, this song is fucking sick. Like I should just try and write some stuff that's like this, that's not like an old folk song, you know, come up with my own. So yeah, it's something that I want to do. I just haven't found the time yet to dive into
folk
it.
is in. The folk punk scene is alive and well. Which I'd never would have thought. No, it is, dude. I was managing this bar on the east side of Austin for a while, and like like there's like straight up like folk punk bands, like I can't remember, the Niceys came through, like the band Days and Days, and just like these huge like roving, there's horrible smelling caravans of folk punks. They're just going off, and people are loving it. I was like, wow, I never would have fucking thought. But
damn,
you know what? The folk punks, they drink a lot of Bloody Marys. I think it's because they need the vitamins. You know what I mean? But they also want to get drunk. I don't know. There's just one thing.
Maybe it's the only food that they can afford during the day.
With their drink tickets, you know. And I made more goddamn Bloody Marys at the folk punk shows than I ever made any other time.
Do you make a good Bloody Mary?
I do now.
Okay.
Not at first. I'm more of a I can pour a hell of a beer, I can pour a hell of a shot, you know, kind of guy. But I'm just like, oh, here we go, fucking cocktails. My lord.
I'm not a cocktail guy at all either. Like I just, you know, hand me a beer and I'm happy. It doesn't have to be fancy, you know, like Coors Banquet or like Lone Star or whatever. It's like, it's fine. But but I fucking love a Bloody Mary, man.
Oh, really? Like, I can't do it. It's not for me. It's like drinking a pizza. I just can't do it, man.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like it. I don't know. I feel like I grew up drinking V8 like all the time for some reason.
Word.
I don't know why. I was just like in my house, and like it's just like a part of me. Like I want that fucking like kind of nasty, like overly sour and too salty fucking like tomato juice thing going on. So I'll do like micheladas and stuff too. Like anything that has tomato juice, I'm down.
That's awesome. You ever had a molcajete?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh man, those are great. If I like it because of the seafood, because it's more like a meal than a drink. But yeah, Bloody Marys, I don't know, something about it, I just can't do it. But so you got a new record coming out, right? For Nuclear Blast.
Yep.
Do you have a release date yet? Because I know the single came out like somewhat recently. I was listening to that earlier, and it's awesome. I would love to hear the rest of it.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we could send you a copy of it, I'm sure. It's coming out on November 19th via Nuclear Blast, like you said. And yeah, the record's called Deceiver. I think it's like our darkest record yet, for sure. Kind of like the headspace I was talking about earlier that we were writing it in definitely comes through. And the whole thing is kind of like, we thought about the whole thing as like one piece to some degree. Like it's not like there's definitely like individual tracks in the whole thing or play as individual tracks, but like we had the sequencing for the full album figured out before we went in the studio. Like there's kind of like a through line of like a lyrical concept that kind of ties the whole thing together. So it's very much like an album, and I'm really excited for people to hear it. I'm really proud of everything we did, and as usual, like I always really like doing the album art and like figuring out that with the guy that we work with for all that, Sam Turner, and I just like love what we came up with for this album in that respect too. So like, you know, anybody that wants to get it, you should get the vinyl copy so that you have the big artwork and you can see, you know, all the little details and shit. And there's drawings for each song on the inside, and I don't know, it's very cool.
Hell yeah, man! I can't wait. Do you want to play a song off of it? I always ask my musician friends if they want to like drop a new song or anything. I know it's not out yet, or if you have even the permission to do that, but you can do whatever you want on this show, man.
Yeah, I'm fucking into it. Yeah, you should play the first song from the album. It's called A Vernal Gate, because I don't think people will have heard it yet, so...
Awesome.
Fuck yeah, do it.
Yeah, we'll do it right now, man. Dude, Phil, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I love your band, and I'm so fucking stoked that y'all made it through the pandemic, and anybody that made it through all this, I'm just so proud of, because a lot of people didn't, man.
No, I know. Yeah, it's really good to talk to you. I've almost met you, I feel like, several times where we've been like in the same place, but it's never happened.
Well, next time let's make it happen. Thanks so much for tuning into The Highway this week. A big shout out to Reverend Guitars, Railhammer Pickups, and Earthquaker Devices. If you liked what you heard, you can follow where you can follow, subscribe where you can subscribe, and if you want to go one step further, you can support us on Patreon at The Highway with Kyle Shutt. For a few bucks a month, you can help us keep this party going, get early access to next week's episode, and even get yourself a shout out.